Hello, ghouls, gals, and all my spectral sweethearts. Welcome back to Café Crashdown, your haunted hideaway for all things horror strange, and of course, we got the spooky, okay? I'm Kayla, your host here at Café Crashdown, and this month we're celebrating something a little extra special. It is Pride Month, and here at the Crash Hub, we're diving deep into a subgenre that deserves way more love: queer horror. Horror has always been a space for outsiders, and queer creators, characters, and coded monsters have been part of the genre from the very beginning. Whether it's a metaphor, allegory, or full-on representation, queer horror allows us to explore identity, fear, love, and survival in ways no other genre can. So today, I'm sharing my top 5 queer horror films you should watch this Pride, complete with some history analysis and, of course, spine-tingling vibes. All right, let's just get into it. Get into this list, let's talk about what we mean when we say queer horror. Queer horror can be a lot of things. Horror made by LGBTQ+ creators, horror with explicitly queer characters, or horror that uses metaphor to speak to queer experiences. Sometimes it is all the above, from the gothic undertones of Dracula to the gender-bending chaos of Sleepaway Camp. Horror has long been a playground for exploring repressed desire, identity, otherness, and transformation. And in more recent years, we have seen a rise in unapologetically queer stories that don't just hint at queerness. They freaking scream it from the rooftops. So let's celebrate that. All right, let's get into it. So often called the first gay slasher, Hellbent is a cult classic for a reason. Set during a Halloween night in West Hollywood, this one gives us everything we love about the slasher genre: a mass killer, party vibes, and some surprisingly endearing characters. So what makes this film so special? It centers gay men without killing them off immediately or turning them into caricatures. It respects its characters while still being playful and gory. It's a love letter to both queer culture and classic horror tropes. It may not be groundbreaking by today's standards, but it was a major milestone for queer representation in horror. And honestly, it still holds up as a fun, bloody romp, okay? French, erotic. We've got Knife+Heart. It's a film set in a world of gay porn in the late 70s. Our protagonist is a queer woman directing adult films who becomes entangled in a murder mystery when her actors start turning up dead. It's dreamy, violent, and full of queer yearning and heartbreak. The killer is masked and mysterious, and the kills are brutal, stylish, and the film is rich with symbolism. Director Jan Gonzalez infuses every frame with mood, music, and meaning. It's not just a horror film with queer characters, it's a queer film using horror as a lens to process grief, obsession, and identity. So with this one, think Carrie meets Let the Right One In. Thelma is a Norwegian supernatural slow burn about a young woman who discovers she has terrifying psychic abilities, just as she begins falling in love with another woman. It's gorgeously shot, emotionally resonant, and explores religious trauma, repression, and desire with elegance and empathy. The horror theme here is internal as much as external. What I love about Thelma is how it intertwines the fear of losing control with the fear of being seen for who you truly are. It's haunting in all of the right ways. If you like your horror understated and psychologically chilling, Stranger by the Lake will absolutely get under your skin. It's a minimalist thriller set at a cruising spot where a man witnesses a murder but becomes dangerously entangled with the killer. There's sun, sex, and stillness, and then there's creeping dread. The horror here lies in complicity, obsession, and silence. It's a quiet scream that echoes long after the credits roll. It also doesn't shy away from showing intimacy between men in ways that are rare in horror. It's erotic, yes, but also existential. Think Hitchcock meets cruising culture. This one's gonna be divisive. I picked they, them. It's a slasher set at a queer conversion camp, and while it doesn't always stick the landing, I had to include it in for what it tries to do. Make the horror literal when it comes to queer trauma. With Kevin Bacon as the camp director and the cast of LGBTQ plus characters front and center, it brings visibility, even if the execution falters at times, okay? I do admit that, but what matters is that it exists. Queer horror by queer creators aimed at queer audiences. And for mainstream release to center trans and non-binary characters in a horror setting, that definitely deserves recognition. It may not be perfect, but it's a step forward to a more diverse, daring queer horror. Queer horror is bold. It's messy, it's beautiful. It lets us be the monsters and the heroes and the screamers and the survivors. And during Pride Month, there's no better time to celebrate the stories that reflect our fears and fabulousness. Whether you're new to queer horror or a lifelong fan, I hope this list gives you something spooky to sink your teeth into. And I know this was just 5 picks that I, just pulled out of a rabbit's hat. There's definitely so many more films out there that are super awesome. So if I happen to miss your favorite, drop it in the comments below. And hey, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss a scream, okay? Until next time, stay spooky, stay strange, and most of all, stay proud, okay? Happy Pride, Crashdown family.